I went down a water slide, and the engineers had to wrap me in all these weird duct tape microphones with plastic bags. And then we had some creative people. I mean, the entire radio then was a lifestyle. It wasn't just hey, music comes out of there. It was a lifestyle. I mean, we rode with people in their cars when they were traveling and on the road. We were with them as they were doing homework, as they were playing ball or whatever. We were companions.
Welcome once again to the Talking Archive. I'm Josh Jacobs, and our conversation continues now with Tony Cox. Now, last time, Tony was discussing how we ride the waves. How do we make things happen when things change? And how do we really take advantage of that? And he talked about, I've never been bored a day in my life. And Tony, kind of reminds me of years ago, there was a disc jockey named Johnny Darren in Southern California.
I know him. He worked with me at KGOE in 1976. He was great.
I remember one interview he did. He said to a DJ, I think it was at Casey, the boss of the beach in Ventura. He said, I want to be a disc jockey when I grow up. And the disc jockey said, you can't do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that quite often. And honestly, who wants to grow up anyway? As long as you aren't childish as an adult, there's a difference. Growing up is a spiritual thing. The spirit always remains childlike. That's why we enjoy being spiritual. Do you think people at Disneyland paying all that money want to be anywhere else? No. They pay all that money to have their spirit run free, to where the real world can be put aside for a moment. Life is there outside that park, and I'm going to spend $2,000 today, and $7 Cokes and $15 hot dogs to be put in the now because my spirit demands it. That's what it takes to get free. So that's entertainment. That's the difference between growing up and getting old. The spirit. Now, the body, you have no choice. I mean, you take care of it. Hopefully, most of us. The odds are, if you live long enough, you're going to die. So die as young as possible, as late as possible. And that's the spirit. The spirit allows that. And it really has a lot to do with that. This industry is tough, man. It eats you up. Even when you're at the top, everybody freaking wants a piece of you. So there has to be this ability to still maintain that innocence of what you do, pay more attention to the product, not yourself. It's not about you. And learn that nothing is personal, even when they tell you how great you are. That's harder to handle than, hey, man, you suck. Have you ever thought about getting another job? I mean, at least that makes sense to you because you know you're never going to be as good as you want to be, ever. No artist ever. When did Picasso say, that's the last freaking line I'm putting on now and I'm signing it next? I think John Lennon once said that he would never do anything the same way over. He was never really satisfied. McCartney once, I had brief cocktails with McCartney one evening, and we didn't talk Beatles, but before he left, I go, hey, I got to ask, what frustrates you about your talent? You're a genius and all that. What have you never been able to accomplish? And he said, well, no one's ever heard what I hear in my head. I've never been able to produce what is in my head. So I looked at him and go, wow, man, that must sound really good in there. And we laughed and chatted and said goodbye. But those little moments of brilliance, of being childlike, in a complex world, and it is that simple. Keep it up. Everyone has to show people their talent. Talent, if it's not expressed and shared, is like having a brand new car parked in the garage that somebody gave you and you never drive. Talent is a gift, but that gift requires development. Again, I could give you a brand new car. Here you go, Josh, brand new Mercedes, man. You come back to me in a month, and you go, well, the insurance is a little high on it there, Tony, and I found out tune-ups are $500 each, and gasoline's, well, what are you saying? Develop the gift, and whatever that car gave you, you're not using it as a movement forward. Doesn't even have to be good. Just move forward in it. Don't expect a gift to keep giving. It's up to you to develop that gift, and we all have a gift. And so that gift doesn't necessarily have to be your source of income. There's many people who craft and create stuff using a gift that they don't make money on. And I admire that sometimes. I just so happen to be stupid enough to rely on my gift or talent for an income. And that's scary at times, man, because I don't know what I have. I don't think anyone who's gifted knows they're gifted until they know that others can't do it. So, and like the world's fastest running kid. Maybe he's 5 years old and he runs faster than anybody. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't know it. He just runs out there until one day he turns around and there's no other 5-year-olds behind him, or even 7-year-olds. He goes, "Wow, I guess I'm pretty darn fast. How fast am I?" He will never know, and that's why athletics and competitions exist, is to show the talent how insecure they are, and that they must prove themselves down to fractions of seconds to realize their own gift and talent. It's not the reward; it's affirmation. And that's the responsibility of having talent as an income.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that you have as your mission, and this started early in radio, in fact, at Yobo, was I read at realradio.com how you helped a group of blind kids, and ever since then you've been helping children with special needs.
Oh, well, everyone has special needs, and I knew that. Funny thing, Mary Beal, again, going back to my first year on the air, was the number one caller to the radio station. She would call up and request. We all had those everyday calls. You go on the air. "Hi, it's me, Mary." "Well, hi, Mary. What can I play for you today?" "Can you play Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks?" I go, "Sure will, Mary." Every day. Well, that went on for a couple of years. And one night we just started talking. I go, "So did you see this movie?" She goes, "Oh, no, I'm totally blind." I go, "What? 2 years?" We have been talking, and you're telling me now that you're totally blind? "Oh, yeah, since birth, Tony." And she was so pleasant. It was, first of all, realized right away that, hey, that's not a handicap. It isn't. They are not handicapped. There's a disability. But I think a lot of people think that people who are disabled are handicapped, and really, she saw more in her voice and expression than the average caller after we got to know each other. Her observations through her sense of hearing was extreme, and her sense of touch and smell. I didn't know it earlier, but when she would say, "Oh, I can smell dinner cooking. I'm hungry. I'll talk to you later," I didn't know that, that's how she knew dinner was ready. So when I think I was 16 or 17, there was a fundraiser for the blind, and Mary asked me if I'd come out and ride my bike in and help raise money, so I'd put it on the show. First time ever. I didn't know no one had ever really done that. And we raised a few $100s, and it was amazing. The people you meet, and so that was the beginning of I guess I don't know even what that's called. I don't know. I don't even know. I know. So anyway, I don't want to get into it too much. So all during my on-air radio
philanthropy,
career,
I guess.
Philanthropy. But to me, that seems like it's too pretentious. Like I help a lot of people who aren't. I don't help. I communicate with a lot of people who aren't disabled, and I'm not doing any kind of philanthropic work. But no one sees that. So, I guess that article you're talking about was the beginning of what I used to do every time I had a chance to raise money. I did countless telethons, and I broadcast from a flag. I lived on a flagpole outside of a mall here in Sacramento at 72 feet in the air for a week in a 8 by 8 foot plywood box that the fire department had built at the top of this flagpole, and I pulled up $10,000 in coins and broadcast live.
Wow!
In 1977, I raised money broadcasting in a underwater vessel for a week. We used to race hot air balloons every year from the state fair to raise money. I didn't. I was the pilot. I would ride with a live remote, and it was record-setting then. We didn't have technology like we have now. I went down a water slide, and the engineers had to wrap me in all these weird duct tape microphones with plastic bags, and it was so archaic. And then we had some creative people. I mean, the entire radio then was a lifestyle. It wasn't just hey, music comes out of there. It was a lifestyle. I mean, we rode with people in their cars when they were traveling and on the road. We were with them as they were doing homework, as they were playing ball or whatever. We were companions. And so KROY in Sacramento, we had the big van. There was this huge Dodge van with the logo on the side and this big sliding door on the side. Shag carpet, real 70s. It was cool. It had a marine telephone. Nobody had cell phones, and we could call people, and it was really cool. And our promotions guy goes, hey, let's put a 4-spigot soda machine in there like they have in the stores. We'll just it'll be Coke. They'll sponsor it. We'll get the KROY Coke cups, and we'll have the orange and the root beer and the Coke, and we'll just pull up for 12 minutes and 40 seconds at lunchtime at all the high schools, open the side door, and we'll give out all the free soda they can handle. So we did. We promoted it for a week. The first day we went out, I think we hit 4 high schools within the area. We pulled up. Students were crazy. They mobbed us. They ran up. We gave 200-300 away in 12 minutes at each school in these cool red Coke cups. We're going, this is great. We close up. We take off to the next school. We get back, and the GM goes, hey, fellas, come in. And we sit in the GM office, and he's going, we got to stop this Coke promotion right away. And we go, why? And he goes, every principal of the high school has called and said, come out and pick up these 400 Coke cans with the KROY logo all over the high school campus. So we turned it around. We go, oh, we're sorry. And we went out and we bought a bunch of KROY Coke receptacles that we would put out in the van, and we made a recycling thing. The KROY jocks will be out at your high school picking up trash this afternoon. So remember, don't litter. And of course, and of course, our ratings there, we had a 63 share that year.
Hey, I'd listen if I got free Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it was fun, man. We were rock stars then. And, Tower Records, their main store was right here on Watt Avenue. And Watt Avenue, that shopping center was cool. It's the bowling alley. It had a nice Candle Rock lounge with a stage, live music. It had Tower Books, Tower Records. It had Sam's Hofbrau, the best house of meat ever, hand-carved. Great food. It was a great place to cruise on Saturday night. Everyone would go there. Huge parking lot. Very American graffiti-ish. And the station I worked for then, KROY, and KSFM, we had the big boombox trailers that we would pull behind our trucks. We'd pull up and open the side and do a DJ mix or something like that. And we had bands like Journey. We'd get a small little set. They'd come in. We'd put them in there. We'd pull up in the parking lot at Tower Records, open it up. They'd play for 30, 40 minutes. We'd close it and take off, and it freaked everybody out. I mean, it was just like a pop-up concert.
Wow.
Yeah, those were fun days, man.
And this was the days of Journey before Steve Perry was even in the group. It was
exactly.
Greg Raleigh is the lead singer and keyboardist. He was the original lead singer of Santana and was also a member of Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band a couple of years ago when I saw them in concert. You had Greg Raleigh. You had Colin Hay from Men at Work.
Colin
you had
Hay.
Hamish Stewart from the Average White Band. Steve Lukather from Toto. And it was just great.
Yes.
I mean, it was cool seeing Ringo and some other drummer together drumming to Africa by Toto. It was like, this is, man, I regret not having seen Ringo and his All-Star Band sooner, because he always has different members rotating in and out of the All-Star Band.
Yeah. I've seen him a few times. He's consistent, and he's got good talent. Yeah, it's cool. So,
well, how'd you get to KROY 1240?
Oh, that's interesting. I was 23, and I was working as the PD in Thousand Oaks, KGOE, a daytimer. However, we got small market radio station of the year. I was small market PD of the year in 77, using my real name, which is Dave Camper. So I'm there, and I want to get out of there. We're working in Hollywood. I'm getting better. I know I can do better. Everything. I had some programming under my belt. I was managing some of Johnny and all these, all these great jocks and people coming through, and we were kind of a training market. So for about 3 months, I made these beautiful cassettes. I went to Radio Shack and got the Chrome Maxim tapes and recorded a pretty hot air check and put them on there with a beautifully typed resume, put it in a wonderful package, insured to Mr. Steve Rivers, KROY, Sacramento, from me in Thousand Oaks. And I didn't hear from him, ever. He wouldn't take any phone calls. Steve Rivers had just gotten a PD-ship at KROY, and he was working with so many great consultants, man, John Rook and Jerry Clifton and all these great guys. And he was so inundated with tapes that he just threw these tapes into a big box next to his desk. He didn't even open them. He got so many of them. And so I got tired of it. He wouldn't take my phone calls. So one day I went back to Radio Shack and I bought a little red 3-inch reel of tape. Do you remember those? They were just reel to reel, just a little. I think there was 5 minutes of tape on them. They were the cheapest plastic reels of tape, lowest quality. And I put the same air check on it. I put it in a unassuming envelope to Steve Rivers, no return address, no resume, nothing. And I sent it to him. A week later, he calls back and goes, "Is this Dave?" And I go, "Yeah." And he called me, "You mother effer." I go, "What?" He goes, "Man, why didn't you put your name on that damn tape?" When that came in, I thought, oh, God, I'm going to play this at the jock meeting and let everybody know how rookie people are. And we were going to make fun of that tape being on that with nothing. I was just going to play it as an example of how jocks are. And when you first set, everyone goes, "Who the hell is that?" Because it was smoking, man. It was hot. So he was pissed because I didn't put it. I go, "Steve," and he still laughs at this. I go, "You dig into that damn box next to your thing, and you're going to find 3 tapes with my name on it." And he did, and he apologized. He goes, "I'm sorry, man. I get so many tapes." I go, "Yeah." So it worked. That's what it took. If you can't get through to them one way, you do it the other way. It's tenacity. It's stubbornness. And the innocence. I know I'm good. I'm not trying. All you got to do is hear me. I know you're going to love it. But that's half the battle of this business, is getting your product to the right ears at the right time. And he had an opening. He hired me right away. He moved me right up there. I mean, it was the beginning of really my major league career. I went from there to Philly, and then Chicago, and then I did mornings at KROY FM, and then KSFM with Jerry Clifton and Brian White and Davey Ferguson doing CHR. I was 45 years old old for CHR, but it kept me young again, my spirit. And I'm going to be 70 in a month. And, I just got done doing some imaging for another hip-hop station, like KSFM, all the hip-hop. I can still do that. Thank God.
Yeah.
And it just feels good. I mean, why not do it? It's fun. So
now, what was the format of KGOE in Thousand Oaks?
We were a Drake Chenault type top 40. Again, we emulated KHJ, had the same jingles. We had the KGOE 2020 News, 20 minutes after the hour. I'm Pete Hewitt with KGOE 2020 News with the teletype in the back, and then, more music, KGOE, Solid Gold Weekend. KGOE, yeah, it was hot. And it
Golden.
Was all 45, yeah. KGOE, Golden. And who would know what golden was? It could be anything.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, and that was fun then too, because the format was top 40. It wasn't country. It was everything. We played everything. I mean, we could go from Donny Osmond into Led Zeppelin into Pink Floyd. You never knew into a country song. I mean, is that good? I don't know. It worked then because, like I said, your toasters didn't play music back then. There was only one source, and there weren't as many radio stations. So the stations that did exist had to have a little deeper library and format. We had to not just concentrate on people who like country without the backbeat. What do we call that? Oh, let's call that AC country. Now they have, 95 formats, man? I think we had, 5? Not including sports and news. Really. And jazz stations, those were all on FM. Nobody listened to jazz except, jazz. And same with classical music. In fact, when we took over WEFM Chicago in 77, February 11th, I was the first jock on the air. We went on at noon. And For 6 hours, we killed the carrier because 40 years that station had played nothing but classical music in Chicago. And WEFM, with Clifton and all of us, they brought us in from all over the country. Don Cox, Jay Stone did mornings, Chris Edmonds, me doing middays. It was a lineup. And it was the first FM rock and roller in Chicago. WLS had led all those years. WMET was kind of doing it, but WEFM took over this classic radio station with a signal that covered 4 states and into Canada. And we went dead for 6 hours. 40 years of playing Bach, Beethoven, Stravinsky, all the great long-haired greats. And we went dead for 6 hours, and we came on as We FM Chicago. We want to be your radio station. And we played We Will Rock You by Queen every hour for 3 months, every hour.
Wow.
I was the first jock on the air, and we had 15 request lines, and they all lit up. The carrier was down for 6 hours, and it came back up at noon, and we started playing We Will Rock You, and the phones lit up. I go, wow, this is cool. Hi, WEFM, what can I play for you? Excuse me, is there something wrong with your radio station? I seem to be getting some strange audio. Oh, well, yeah, we're rock and roll now. I'm sorry, you're what? What? You're telling me what I'm hearing is what this station? And they were irate, man. So for 2 weeks, that's all I answered. Hi, WeFM. Could you play the third movement from Strauss's seventh movement when he was addressing Othello? Oh, sure, coming right up, baby. Yeah.
That is great.
Wild.
Well, this is the Talking Archive. I'm Josh Jacobs. Next time we're going to talk with Tony about his time in Philadelphia, as well as his trip back to Sacramento, as well as the Midwest city he broadcast in for 2 snowy winters in a row.